Do you ever wonder where some of the more unknown manga that get turned into anime come from? Well, so do I. It's not like I figured it out, but there's at least something I found. While looking through the internet, I came across a page called Niku Manga. Well, technically, it's a manga section of Niku Sega, which is an online platform for artists, similar to DeviantArt or Pixiv. Basically, it's where Uzaki-chan came from, and we all know that is the gold standard for quality. Anyway, since at that time I was looking for some raw manga to help me learn Japanese, I just thought, hey, might as well check this out. So I looked at a couple of new releases, because on the Niku Manga page you can only view the very first and the most recent chapters for free. For others you have to pay, or they just aren't available. I kind of wanted to read the full story, so I had to choose from them. I actually ended up finding 3 that I really liked and had just started. Now, almost 1.5 years later, they are still going strong, and I think it's about time someone started talking about them. But before I actually talk about my recommendations, I kind of want to explain how I read manga. Because there are so many different kinds of stories out there, it's really hard for me to compare, for example, a manga like Attack on Titan with another one like the aforementioned Uzaki-chan. One of them is an absolute epic about war, intrigue, betrayal, with such an extensive world that you can have multiple information charts. And the other one is about some tits being a twat. So I started to kind of differentiate between manga with what I call a linear plot and manga with what I call a chained plot. Linear plots are manga that follow a single adventure or character and rely on the continuity of both the timeline and the story to keep you engaged. Examples of that would be One Punch Man or Boku no Hero Academia. The thing about these manga is that they always leave you wanting more, and waiting for a week, a month, or sometimes even more is just agony. I found that it's best for me to just wait for around 10 or even 20 chapters to be released and then just go ham on them when I have time to read manga all day. Chain plots, on the other hand, work a bit different. They are very similar to something like an anthology, but still connected with an overarching plot and a general progression, although most of the time it's not the most important thing happening. You can enjoy every chapter on its own, without having to have read the previous chapters to get into it. Yeah, sure, it's interesting to know how we got to where we are, but it's not absolutely necessary for you to be able to understand and enjoy what is happening in that very chapter right now. Good examples of that would be Non Non Biori or Nichijou. Manga like these are really nice to read in between, because you can just open them whenever you want, read one chapter or just a few pages, and not feel like you have to go and immediately read the next chapter. Back to the main topic. The 3 manga I wanted to introduce. They are all this kind of slice-of-life high school romance manga that have a really simple story. They're good for anyone who wants to escape the daily stress, or if you're like me, read them raw and learn a bit of Japanese. They also only come out once every 2 weeks, so they aren't too overbearing. The first one I want to introduce is Ooki Kouhai wa suki desu ka? Or Do You Like Big Juniors? It's about the really short senior, Ogata, and the really tall junior, Omori. They work together in the library, and of course, they develop this semi-romantic relationship. Omori sometimes treats her senior like a child, but he just turns it around to great effect. I know my description isn't very good, but trust me, it's funny. As for the art style, it's really good, and all the panels have a good amount of detail in them. The author also apparently streams on Twitch, so if you want, you can give him a follow there. I'll have the link in the description. There's also not a real official English translation out there, but you can find a decent English translation very easily. The second one I want to introduce is Nega-kun Poshi-chan. Much like the one before, this is also a high school romance manga. This time the twist is that our protagonist Nega Shoya is very pessimistic and can never imagine someone liking him. He does secretly like the very popular girl Hoshi Sayaka, but cannot muster the courage to talk to her. She, on the other hand, is a very active and extroverted girl, seeing the good in every situation. She is actually also in love with our protagonist and already considers them a couple, even though they hardly interact with each other. Both of them try to get close to each other, but it only ever leads to misunderstandings. The art is also very good, but in most cases everything is kept very basic. Even the more important panels are just slightly above average. Just like before, it's not officially translated yet, but you already know how to find it. The last manga I want to introduce is called Kyomo Kurosaki-san no turn, or Today is also Miss Kurosaki's turn. You might have guessed it, but this one is also in the same category as the other 2. The story is about the card game otaku, Yashiro. He doesn't really stand out, but he does have one friend that come lunch break always plays card games with him. That, of course, is our title character, Kurosaki-san. She's a very adult-like girl, who, although not being very good at them, loves card games, the same way Yashiro does. Our protagonist, of course, doesn't expect anything but card games, but Kurosaki very often seems to have other plans as well. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of ecchi in this manga. But you know, some people like it and some people don't. A quick word on the art. It's not really better than the other two, but I still like this one more. Maybe it's just the character design, but I feel like it's just a step up over what you normally see. Unfortunately, I haven't even found a fan translation, let alone an English release, so it will be hard for anyone who doesn't know Japanese to read this. I do hope it gets translated soon. I personally like Kurosaki-san the most, but all three I showed today are really good. It would be great if a few of you would pick up at least one of the ones I recommended today, because I don't think many people are talking about them, and I really enjoy them personally. Well, this is the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, it would be great if you could leave me a like and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I sometimes even post. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed and you have a wonderful weekend.